Hello everyone, again, we're here talking about chasing psychological safety, and today's topic is going to be resilience versus flexibility, what the difference between them is and why they're important to measure. So how and why are we measuring them?
So when the software for People Not Tech was being designed, the goal of course is to understand psychological safety in teams, levels of psychological safety and how that can be improved. So it was important to categorize that in a really practical and appropriate way. So the 6 categories that we designed the software to target were flexibility, resilience, morale, courage, curiosity and openness.
Right, I sometimes get those wrong when you did exceptionally well. So essentially why we're measuring some of those, we can talk in other episodes about, for instance, the difference between courage and openness. We should have a chat about that. Obviously, no one needs an explanation as to why morale/engagement needs to be measured. And it's quite evident why some of these things are necessary. But I think we get this question a lot, which is, why are you measuring flexibility and what does resilience mean as compared to it? And I think the reason we're having this conversation is because both concepts are relatively new. It's not something that's typically part of the vernacular of an organization. We very rarely talk about flexibility at work outside of the context of the new ways of work and outside of the new types of business that require us to be moving extremely fast. There hasn't been traditionally a need for flexibility in organizations. Equally, the idea of resilience hasn't exactly been at the forefront of anyone's mind, simply because you are expected to last and be to be strong enough to remain in a certain position for long enough, and whether or not you are or you aren't is not something that the organization worries themselves with. So both topics are a little bit new, both topics are a little bit hard to measure, and also slightly connected to the point that people ask. So if you're measuring flexibility, which I can understand, you want to know if your teammates are open to change course and be flexible and take in new ideas and drop what they're doing and gleefully move towards another project. Why is it that you're also measuring resilience? And essentially what we found is it is very possible for a team to be extremely flexible, but for that flexibility short-term to translate into long-term disaster where they stop being resilient. So they will essentially take in changes of course happily. They'll pivot, they'll jump up and down when they hear that their entire project has been cancelled and they have to do something else, but they won't last in that. If they were masking and they were projecting a feeling of well-being, whereas they were essentially very affected negatively by those changes, then they weren't truly flexible, and they are absolutely not going to continue being resilient.
Absolutely. I think that in terms of resilience being a fairly new topic, there's been a lot of talk about resilience in the context of health and well-being, and the different pillars of resilience and how you build that on an individual level. But what we're talking about now, which is a bit newer, but incredibly important, is resilience in teams.
Yes. And
resilience is particularly important, as Duane is saying, when flexibility has to be high. So that, first of all, it's understanding that flexibility that's happening all the time in a team isn't sustainable. But if you want to look from a high performance point of view, then you're going to need flexibility in teams. You're going to need people that can pivot within a project, that they can make change later on in a project, whatever it might be. So we need to be aware, first of all, of not putting too much pressure on a team from a flexibility point of view. But then with regards to resilience, it's how you use psychological safety to build resilience in teams for those occasions. Exactly. So it's understanding that if one is high and one is low, you potentially, from a psychologically safe team's point of view, going to have a significant issue. And then what are the practical steps to being able to build that resilience?
Right, and in general, just kind of keeping an eye on both as a team leader and being sure that your team has become flexible truly and in their core, and there's a mindset, is essentially what's going to inbuild resilience long term. Yeah. It's incredibly important. We can't be working in the new ways of work without having it, and we have to get it right.
Yeah.
So because, right, if we don't get it right, then we're not psychologically safe. And as we say, if you're not psychologically safe, then you're not productive. If you're not productive, you can't be winning. So thanks so much for listening to us. Write comments or emails or direct messages on Twitter. Just get in touch. Tell us how are you dealing with this flexibility thing, right? It's not an easy thing to be asked of any of us. And do you feel you're resilient enough as a team? Talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.